Hi there, my name is Kenzie from Mudpuppy Stitchery. I am a cross-stitch designer, I am a bird nerd and a wildlife lover, and I enjoy doing all of the crafty things. So if you're new, welcome. I hope that you like what you see, and I hope that you'll continue to follow up with me on all of my future videos. For my current subscribers, thank you so very much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. Well, hello and welcome along to today's Flosstube video. I hope you've been well and have been enjoying the holiday season, hopefully baking lots of cookies and drinking lots of hot chocolate. It has been bitterly cold here in southern Minnesota, and we've had a good chunk of snow over the past couple of weeks. I think we are very likely to have a white Christmas here, which is nice, but then it can go away as soon as January hits. I don't have too much to update you guys on as far as life things, but I've been stitching and working and staying toasty warm indoors as much as possible. I definitely become a huge homebody during the winter time, and I do not like to go out after dark. So it's always a race against the setting sun to get my errands done in time after work gets out. But I am definitely ready for a Christmas break and to have some time off and to do lots of crafting and stitching. And I did end up going to the Jingle Ball for the first time, and it was really fun. I met some really cool people, and I was able to meet up with some Flosstube friends of mine that I had never met before. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it was a good time and a good experience. And you may have noticed I'm in a little bit of a different location here. I'm in my living room with the Christmas tree behind me, and hopefully that provides a little bit of cozy ambiance to the video. So with that, I think we should move right along into some finishes. So I was finally able to get my finish of Moggy Manor by the Blue Flower professionally framed, and it looks absolutely stunning, and I'm so excited to share it with you. And here's what it looks like. So I got this framed at my local Hobby Lobby, and they always do a really nice job on framing my finished pieces. So I stitched this on an 18 count old gold by My Vintage Needle Arts on Etsy. And this was started in April of 2023, and I finished stitching this in November of this year. This was one of my oldest whips, and I'm so glad to finally have it framed and displayed on my wall. If you're new, I've customized this piece quite a bit by changing all of the cats to dogs, and they're supposed to represent all of the dogs in my life that have passed away. So it's a really nice memorial piece, and as you can see, all of their names in the middle cartouche are right there. I also switched it at the bottom to say all dogs go to heaven instead of Moggy Manor. I am so glad that I chose this frame because it really brings out the details of the piece. I feel like the little filigree swirlies complements the many leaves that I stitched, and the color of the wood just brings out all of the dark browns of the piece. So I am very, very happy with that. My next fully finished piece is called October 31st by Cottage Garden Samplings, and I finally have it framed. And I am so happy with how it turned out. So this piece was started in October of 2023 and finished in November of 2025, and it was stitched on an 18 count cornflower by Fiber on a Whim Fabrics. You'll notice I did not put the October 31st in the corner because I wanted to be able to keep this out all year round. So this was some very intensive stitching, especially because I had started stitching this from a paper chart. But once I had bought an iPad and I was able to take a picture of the chart and blow it up, it made it so much easier to stitch. But there is a lot of dense, intricate stitching in this piece, but it looks so good, and I'm so glad I put the time in to get it finished. The frame was a little bit of an accidental find. I had actually gone to Hobby Lobby to pick up my Moggy Manor frame and was looking at the frame section to find one for this piece. and I was struggling to find a frame that would fit my stitch because a 5x7 was too small, but the 8x10 was too big. So I wandered into the decor section and I was able to find a little painting that was in this frame and it fit just perfectly. I got so lucky. And the tarnished gold really suits the colors of this piece, I think. So when I went home, I ripped off the back and glued my cross-stitch piece over the painting, and it turned out perfectly. So I am so pleased with how it turned out. So those are my 2 fully finished and framed pieces, and I can't wait to hang them up on my wall. I had an FFO that I'm really excited about, and that's George's Green Frog, which I don't have with me because it was sent off as a gift, but I do have several photos that I can show you. As a little bit of background information, if you're new here, this was designed by me and is actually a freebie chart that you can download yourself on my Patreon page, and I'll make sure to leave a link down below. I have a friend named George who wanted me to design and stitch a frog with a heart as a present for his sister. And I was able to get it done before Christmas time, which I am super happy about. I started stitching this on August 27th of this year and finished it on November 26th. And a couple days later, I was able to make it into a cute little pillow, and I think it turned out super well. I stitched this on an 18 count jade by Picture This Plus Fabrics and used a nice green polka dot backing fabric from my stash. I was able to make the custom cording using my cording maker that I bought from 123 Stitch. I would highly recommend investing in one of these. It has been so handy and it is so much fun to create custom cording. I glued the cording starting at the bottom and then went all the way around the edges of the pillow so that it covered up the seams. I wasn't very happy with how the bottom looked because of the knot, but I was able to cover that up with a cute little matching bow that I glued on. And I was able to give it to George and he absolutely loved it. And he'll keep me updated on what his sister thinks too. So I am so glad to finally have that complete and in his hands. And it was such a fun project, and I think George's sister will love it. I do have another stitch piece that I finished, but unfortunately I can't show you because it's a gift. And I'm not sure if she watches my Flosstube or not, but she definitely follows me on Instagram, so I can't post anything anywhere. The only thing that I can tell you is that it's going to be a small hanging ornament, and it's from Prairie Schooler, and it involves birds. So that's all of the hint that I'm going to give, but once it's complete and gifted, I'll make sure to show you guys what it is. And I think it's going to turn out so cute, and hopefully I can get it done in time for Christmas. Right around Thanksgiving time, I was lucky enough to receive 3 amazing model stitches in the mail, and they turned out absolutely gorgeous. I don't have them with me now because I wanted to return them to their owners as soon as possible. But I do have the photographs that I took, which will become the front cover page of the patterns. So the first model stitch that I received was from Eli of Thick Threads here on Flosstube and Instagram. And he was able to stitch my pattern called Parakeets in a Jacaranda Tree on a gorgeous piece of 20 count Raspberry Swirl by Atomic Ranch. He did an absolutely beautiful job, and the stitch turned out so tiny and so cute. He's actually going to be giving this piece to his grandmother for Christmas, so I wanted to get it back to him as soon as possible so he could fully finish it. But I was able to take a really nice photograph of the piece and switch out the computer-generated mock-up for an actual model. So that was awesome. And then I received my design called Friend of Herons from Amy, and oh my goodness, that turned out absolutely gorgeous. And it is a huge piece, and she was able to finish it so quickly, and I was super impressed. Amy stitched this piece on a 16 count Michaels brand Ada that she dyed to be the perfect bluey green color. And she was even kind enough to offer me to keep it so that I could use it at trunk shows in the future. I was so touched that she would even offer that to me, but I didn't end up keeping it because that is so much work and too big of a piece for me to keep. But I appreciated her amazing thoughtfulness, and I was able to mail it back safely to her so she can enjoy it in her own home. So that turned out beautifully. And last but not least, I received my design called Bald Eagle Blackberries, stitched by Grace, and wow, this was an absolute showstopper. She stitched it on a 28 count even weave in the color Powder Blue by MCG Textiles, and the floss colors just popped off of this fabric. She did such a beautiful job, and I was able to get a nice photograph of it before mailing it back to her. So all 3 model stitches turned out amazing, and I'm so thankful to Eli, Amy, and Grace for being willing to help me out and to stitch these for me. If model stitching sounds like something you might be interested in doing, please take a look at the show notes below and shoot me an email of which design you might be interested in stitching. I'll leave a list of my designs that need to be model stitched below, so you have an idea of what is available to be stitched. And if you're interested, I'll give you the pattern for free, and then you'd mail it to me once you're finished. I'll take a couple photographs of it and then mail it back to you. And then if you're comfortable, I'd love to include your name in the pattern so that everyone knows who stitched it. So please get in contact with me if that sounds like something you might be interested in. All 3 of these designs are available on my Etsy page, along with many more. And I'm slowly filling up my page with model stitches, which is so exciting and such a huge step in becoming a more well-known person in the cross-stitch community. So thank you again, Eli, Amy, and Grace. I appreciate you so much, and I'm so thankful for your help. Before I hop into more of my stitching, I'd like to move on to another segment called Wildlife Minute, where I give a little talk on wildlife, biology, animals, or anything that strikes my fancy. So hopefully you'll learn something new today, and it will encourage you to take a deeper dive into the wonders of the natural world. But if you're only here for the stitchy things, feel free to hop ahead. Hello everyone, Wildlife Kenzie here. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about an amazing bird called the house finch. House finches are currently spread across most of the US and into Mexico, but it wasn't always like that. Originally, house finches were only found in the western US, but in the 1940s, a couple house finches were released in Long Island, New York, and they bred and spread across most of the US decades later. Male house finches are extremely easy to spot and identify, with their bright red plumage on their head and upper body that blends down into a brown color. The females are a little bit harder to identify, with many birders calling them LBBs, or little brown birds. The male house finches always remind me of red dilly bars from the Dairy Queen. They just look like they've had their heads and chests dipped into the red coating, and it always makes me smile when I see one. You'll find house finches just about anywhere, from parks to farms to backyards, grasslands and wooded areas. Depending on the availability of certain foods, male house finches can look completely different, from red to yellow to orange. But females tend to prefer the male house finches with the reddest plumage. During the spring breeding season, females will usually lay between 3 to 6 eggs, with up to 6 broods per season. House finches are always a welcome visitor at any bird feeder. With their cheerful colors and warbling songs, they bring joy to many people. I hope you've enjoyed today's Wildlife Minute, and let's head back to the stitching. Hello and welcome back. The first whip that I worked on was Red Panda by Needlelot Designs, and this is on Etsy. So this was a pretty recent start earlier this month, and I've made some pretty decent progress on it since then. I really love a lot of her designs, and her style is so fun. So I would definitely recommend that you check her out on Etsy. and I'll make sure to link her down below. So this is being stitched on an 18 count pickled by Picture This Plus Fabrics, and it's this beautiful mid-tone green that works really nicely with all the orangey brown tones of the red panda. I was able to get all the way around the circle border and get the panda outlined, so I feel like I made some pretty decent progress in just a couple of days. But this is a smaller pattern, so I don't feel like it should take a huge amount of time to complete, but we shall see. So this has been super fun to stitch, and I can't wait to start filling in the red panda. Another whip that I worked on was the Sugar Glider by Cottage Garden Samplings. And this piece is so addicting to work on, and it was really hard to put down. So I started this back in August of this year, and it's being stitched on a gorgeous piece of fabric called Discord by Picture This Plus Fabrics, which is this amazing raspberry pinky purple. It is just stunning. I definitely need more of it. This time I was able to start working on getting the back of the Sugar Glider in, and more of his feet and the bark, some of the branches and the leaves, and even an outline of his tail. So this is a relatively small piece, only about 100 by 130 stitches, so it shouldn't take too much time until I get a finish on this one. Although it will definitely take some time to fill in the beautiful patterning on his fur. And did you guys see the most recent release of A Year in the Woods 2? It is this gorgeous cardinal, and I'm definitely going to have to get that one, 100%. It is so pretty. I'd have to say Cottage Garden Samplings is one of my favorite designers, and her patterns inspire me so much in my own designing journey. So I just love this, and I can't wait to get back to it. Another one of my whips that I worked on was the Wolf by Cottage Garden Samplings. And I only got a little bit done on this, but I still wanted to show you my progress because it is such a gorgeous stitch. So this is being stitched on an 18 count conifer by Picture This Plus Fabrics, and I'm loving how the orangish highlights of the fur are standing out on this green. I was able to work on filling in the fur on his neck and kind of around his ears, and that's about all I was able to get done. After a couple stitching sessions, I needed to take a break from the intensive patterning that Cottage Garden Samplings tends to put into their designs. But that's one of the reasons why I love their designs so much. I just love how it looks. And it does take some intensive concentration, and I had wanted to move on to some easier stitching. But he is looking fantastic, and I am so excited to keep stitching on him in the near future. Another one of my whips that I spent a little bit of time on was Fruits of Plenty by Modern Folk Embroidery. And this was a 2021 stitch along. And I did not get as far as I wanted, but I made some good progress. So this is being stitched on an 18 count Valor by Picture This Plus Fabrics, and it was started in February of this year. I was able to fill in from about here till here where the 20 is, and then down into the heart right there. So I did want to get this whole section just about complete so that I could be ready to move on to the next section right here. But I'll just keep plugging away at it and hopefully show you some more progress next time. But this design is so much fun to stitch, but wow, it is a lot of solid, intricate stitching. But I am loving how it's turning out. The two floss colors that I'm using are this super dark black and purple shade called Plumage by Roxy Floss Co. And the variegated color is called Victorian Plum from Threadworks. This color combo is just stunning, and it really plays well with the greeny gray fabric. Last time that I stitched on this, I did tend to make a little bit of a mistake right here in this section. So I'm about 1 stitch off, so it doesn't perfectly match the other side. But I'm honestly just going to leave it because it doesn't bother me, and there's going to be a lot of intricate stitching around it, so you'll likely not even notice it in the end. But I really don't like ripping out, unless I absolutely have to. And this, in my opinion, didn't really warrant being ripped out. And speaking of modern folk embroidery, have you guys been watching Jacob's Flossmas videos? I've been catching a few here and there, and I've recently had a look at his website, and he's got the new 2026 stitch along coming out right now, and it looks gorgeous. It's not something that I would start or stitch on anytime soon, especially with this whip, but it is a stunning piece, and I can't wait to see others stitching on it. So I was snooping around Owl Forest Embroidery's page because they have quite a few new releases since the last time that I checked. And their freebie page is full of amazing charts. I would highly recommend taking a look and downloading a few, and I'll make sure to put a link down below. So I wanted to show you a couple of the charts that I printed off. The first one is called Sparrows, and it is this cute little chart that wouldn't take long to whip up. So I actually end up starting this one, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But I love the simplicity of the design, and I think it would make an amazing little pillow finish. The next chart that I picked up was Glutton Waxwing, and I love the colors in this piece. Just gorgeous. And of course it looks so good because it was stitched in the Owl Forest embroidery threads, and I am very tempted to invest in some of their threads because they've got gorgeous variegation, and that really appeals to my eye. But I am not too sure about shipping them all the way from Russia. It seems like it might take like 10 years to get here. So we'll see, but there's that one. And then I downloaded 2 little owl wreaths. And I thought those would be really fun and really easy to stitch as well. And they're really small little stitches. And think of how cute they would be like on a round kitchen paddle. I think that would be so cute. So I'm very glad to add these to the stash. So this is the little chart called Sparrows from Owl Forest Embroidery. And again, I'll make sure to link it down below. But it's just a tiny little chart and only 57 by 72 stitches. So it won't take too long to finish. But I started this on December 12th. And I'm stitching it on a scrap of 18 count Oaken by Picture This Plus fabrics. And I'm choosing all of my own colors from stash since you don't need that many for this chart. And I just love it. But it is so cute, and I'll probably finish it into a little hanging ornament unless I can find like a little frame for it. So we'll see. But hopefully by next video I'll have a finish on this. And it's been nice to have a break in between my bigger projects, and it will be a great addition to my bird wall. I was able to release a freebie chart for November, and it's called Winter Cardinals Freebie, and it's now available for download on my Patreon page. So I was requested to design a chart with cardinals, and I thought that would be a perfect wintry pattern that many people would enjoy stitching. So if you have any requests of what I should design next, please leave a comment down below, and you never know, I might take you up on your idea. So this was really fun and challenging to create, especially with all of the fun patterns and textures of the feathers. I had to redo the male cardinal's wings and tail several times until I got it to a place where I was mostly happy with it, and I think it turned out alright. It's sometimes really hard to simplify a bird's feathers into only a couple colors. Because if you look at a photo of a male cardinal, there's of course the red, but you also have the blacks and the browny reds and even a little bit of white. So there's a lot of variation if you really look at them. I think the females' colors are just as beautiful, or even more so than the males. With their gray and yellowy browns and oranges, I just love them. So it was a really fun piece to design, and I hope you'll head on over to my Patreon page, which will again be linked down below, and download this freebie for yourself. If you're interested in becoming a free member of my Patreon, you'll be notified whenever I upload a new chart. And I'm trying to upload one freebie chart per month, so you'll definitely have plenty to stitch. I was able to release another new design on my Patreon page called the Northern Flicker. And this is definitely one of my most favorite designs yet. I didn't have any particular inspiration behind this piece, except that I just really wanted to draw a woodpecker. And I haven't done a Northern Flicker yet, so it was the perfect opportunity. So this was so much fun to draw and to design because of all the pretty colors and the textures that their feathers have. And it allows me to create intricate patterns into the piece, which adds so much depth and interest. Northern Flickers have a lot of barring on their wings, and so adding the patterning really helps me portray that texture. I definitely felt like he needed some sort of frame, just because he's a little bit off-center on the branch with his tail sticking out, and so it felt a little bit crooked without the frame. But please feel free to omit the frame if you're not into border stitching. That is completely fine. I also want to emphasize that with my designs, you can feel free to change the colors or leave out things or personalize as much as you want, because it's your pattern and you can do whatever you want with it. This chart is now available for Tier 1 members on my Patreon page, which will be linked down below. And I wanted to send a huge thank you to everyone who has become a paid or free member of my Patreon. It means so much to me, and I'm so grateful for your support. Speaking of freebie charts, I was able to design a cute little chart called Winter House Finches, and it's available for free on my Patreon page. I think this turned out as a cute little stitch, and I had a lot of fun designing this one. The colors on a house finch are a bit difficult to replicate in stitching just because there's a lot of blending of colors and also some barring. So there's a lot of texture happening on their feathers, which made it a fun challenge, and I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. I think the female was probably the hardest with all the shades of brown and cream, but I really enjoyed adding all of the patterns into her feathers. So I really hope you enjoy this cute little winter freebie. I received an early Christmas present from my mother-in-law, Jane, and she was kind enough to send over a $50 123 Stitch gift card. And that just made my whole day, and all day at work I was planning on what I would buy when I got home. So next video, you'll see some stash enhancements, and I'm sure I'll also get some stitchy gifts for Christmas as well, so those will be fun to show. But I bought 2 charts and some fabric to stitch them on, so I'll definitely show that next time. So I was able to attend the Jingle Ball this past weekend, and I had a really great time meeting Flosstubers and Instagram friends that I've never met before. I was able to meet Milka from Mega Stitches, and she's amazing, and we chatted for a little bit in one of the stitching rooms. And I was also able to meet Marcy from Amnicon Studios, and we laughed and had a great time chatting in another one of the stitching rooms. And I was also able to meet Eli of Thick Threads, although we didn't get a chance to chat very much because we were in a crowded stitch room. So that was so fun getting a chance to meet some really cool people. I think my favorite part of the entire event was the whip speed dating, because you were able to connect with people one-on-one. And I tend to do better in that sort of environment instead of like a big group. So it definitely took a bit of courage to jump on the whip speed dating, but once I got over that initial fear, it was really fun to meet random other strangers for a little bit of time. And I'm definitely a super introverted person, so I can handle the Jingle Ball in short bursts of time when I'm feeling up for it. So it was nice that it was spread out over 3 days so that I could hop in and out as I needed. So I ended up not buying anything, which is kind of surprising, but I did collect some of the freebie charts. So the first one that I downloaded was Festive Flicker from the Blue Flower. And then the other chart that I got was Woodsy Wreath from the Tiny Modernist. So they are so cute, and I am so glad to have these in my stash. So overall, it was a great weekend, and I'm glad I was able to participate for the first time. And that is all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please like the video, please comment down below and check out my Etsy page, which will also be linked, and please follow me at Mudpuppy Stitchery on Instagram to keep an eye on what I'm doing in between videos. So I appreciate you so very much, and I hope to see you in a couple weeks. So take care, do some bird watching, and stitch all of the things. Bye!